Sometimes actually having a visual impairment, living with hemianopia, is more difficult than my cerebral palsy. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 ways that having a visual impairment has impacted my life. I realized I don't talk a lot about being visually impaired and having hemianopia a lot on my channel. I want to talk about it more. I think because like cerebral palsy for me, if you think about like a cake, I love cake. I don't know about you, but I love cake. Cerebral palsy for me is like the cake. It's my main disability. So it's what I tell people, like, if I'm gonna tell someone I have a disability, I'm gonna say I have cerebral palsy. And then for me, the frosting, the toppings are like my visual impairment and or my speech impairment or, you know, my epilepsy. Those are my other disabilities. They definitely impact my life, like as I'm gonna say today. But cerebral palsy is definitely like the main disability. I don't know. That can be like a whole other video topic, like the struggles of having multiple disabilities. So the first one is something that I have definitely talked on my channel and it impacts my life a lot and is the main reason why I can't do this, and that is driving a car. I cannot drive, and that impacts my life a ton because I have to learn other ways to get around, and I sail on my channel. I have done like quite a few videos of learning how to use public transportation, and yeah, so I'll put the card up to that playlist if you want to watch those videos. But it's definitely been a struggle because not everywhere in the world where I live, like, they don't have like equal access to transportation. They don't have, you know, viable transportation if you don't live, you know, in a city. Like, obviously if you live in a city, that's a lot easier, but it's definitely a struggle to not be able to drive and not be able to go to places you want to. And I know not everyone with a visual impairment like can't drive. Like, some people can, but for me it just doesn't make sense. And I think, you know, does my other disabilities have an impact on that? Like, yes, but if I only had cerebral palsy, I would be able to drive. Honestly, if I think about it, sometimes actually having a visual impairment, living with hemianopia, is more difficult than my cerebral palsy. Even though, like, for so long I didn't even realize I had a visual impairment. Like, for the longest time I literally thought wearing glasses, like, I was fine. I just needed to wear glasses, but no, that doesn't fix everything. And then another way it impacts my life, this goes back to school actually, and specifically like high school and college. One of my congregations was where I was sitting in the classroom, and it wasn't necessarily like I needed to sit up front, even though I did, because I realized that was probably the best. The problem for me was if I sat too far to the left of where the board was, the chalkboard, like, I would probably be missing a lot of things on the chalkboard, and I don't even want to think about the things I probably missed back in like elementary school when we had no idea. I probably missed so many things, but yeah, that was one of my congregations. Was I would sit towards the right of the classroom where the board was, so then that would give me the best chance of me not missing anything that the teacher would write on the board. I can't think of like many examples, but if I just think about like going to a movie theater, like, I make sure I sit towards the right. Like, it doesn't need to be like way far to the right, but towards the right of the string, so then I can make sure I don't miss anything on the string. So that is one thing I can think about in like the real world that definitely is something I have to think about. For example, I recently saw the Barbie movie, and you know,
everyone and their mother wanted to see that movie.
So it was a busy time, so like it was important for me to make sure like I went there early so then I can make sure I get a seat where I need it to. Like obviously like it wouldn't be the end of the world if I had to sit on the left, but it would just make my experience a lot better. Another thing is crossing streets. Anything like that, being in that environment. I actually do have a cane. I got it in high school from my O&M. Person I had, like, she was awesome, but the one thing is I don't use it, and I honestly should, but the problem is and this connects to having cerebral palsy and only being able to use one hand. How you like open it up and like close it together, you kind of need two hands, so it didn't work out well. Like I remember going out with her a few times and practicing using it. I believe the main reason I got the cane was for situations and like times where I'm crossing streets or guessing like a crowded area, and that goes actually to the next point that I will talk about a little bit. But I didn't get it like for like every day, like when I'm going out every day, because like I don't necessarily need that. It's more about like if you're just looking at me, like people are not gonna know that I have a visual impairment. So it also helps to for people to see around me like, oh, like I have a cane, like that person has a cane, she is, you know, has a visual impairment, or, you know, whatever, can't see as well. Crowded areas is the next one, and I have always been overwhelmed with crowded areas and just like lots of people. Like that overwhelms me so much. If I think about it, I feel like a lot of it has to do with having hemianopia and just like so many things happening all at once, and like making sure I don't like bump into anyone or anything. Like, oh my goodness. There are all times where like someone, like my mom or whatever, will be like, oh my god, did you just see that person? Like you almost bumped into them. I'm just like, no. I did not see them. If you're coming to my right side, like I'm not gonna see you. And I know I need to do a better job at scanning, like scanning all around. Yeah, I need to do a better job at that, because then that will make sure like I don't miss anything. But yeah, if I think about like going in a parking lot, like going to stores or anything like that, I always have to be like super careful, making sure like I look around to see if any cars are passing, because you know the chances of me missing one on my right side, you know, will happen. Actually, the last one is interesting, because I always thought the reason why I have an increase of this happening was because of my cerebral palsy, and I definitely do, and that is falling. I definitely have an increase of falling because of cerebral palsy, but I also think having a visual impairment like doesn't help me either, increase the chances as well. I guess actually recently made a talk how, you know, hiking can be very hard for me and just like can make me feel disabled, and I feel like, you know, I do my best when I'm hiking to look down at the ground, but like I could very easily like miss something if I like miss like a sump or something that will trip me, like if it was on the right side. One thing I also talk about is like sometimes, like I don't think it happens often, but there has been situations where like I will like bump into something, and when I bump into something, it's always something that is on my right side. It's always something on my right side that I just didn't see, and it's honestly like I'm kind of laughing because I'm just like, of course. Those are 5 ways that I really think like my visual impairment has impacted my life like the most, I would say. And it's like, you know, it's kind of interesting to like, I feel like, you know, having cerebral palsy, having my other disabilities, like it kind of overlaps a little bit, but it's like interesting because some things, like for the longest time I thought like it was my cerebral palsy, like I said, like walking like in public and like going to the store and like trying to navigate all of that. Like for the longest time it was like, is it my cerebral palsy? But like now I'm just like, maybe it was actually my visual impairment. But anyway, I thought this would be interesting to talk about. I don't know, like I hope you enjoy it. I definitely want to talk more about my other disabilities and just like share more of that. Yeah, in some ways, like I said, it can be harder for me to talk about. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, turn on post notifications, and I hope you have an amazing day. I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye.